Number 1. The blind platypus from hell. The ocean's first answer to the apocalypse wasn't a predator, it was something so alien it doesn't map onto anything alive today. Eretmohypus was 3 feet long, paddling through a single lagoon in Hubei province, China, about 247 million years ago. It had the body plan of a platypus, 247 million years before platypuses existed. Tiny armored back, lined with triangular bony blades running down its spine like a stegosaurus in miniature. And the smallest eyes, relative to its body, of almost any reptile ever found. This thing was functionally blind. Its snout forked into a flat, broad bill covered in grooves. Those grooves may have housed sensory organs, possibly something like electroreception, the same trick platypuses use to feel the electrical signals of prey hiding in mud. We don't know that for sure, but the anatomy is screaming it. Here's what makes this thing genuinely unsettling. For decades, every specimen pulled out of that lagoon was headless. Nobody knew what the face looked like. Then in 2019, skulls finally turned up, and the platypus resemblance blindsided everyone. That same lagoon held 8 marine reptile species living on top of each other, 5 of them from the same family as Eretmohypus. They probably survived by hunting at different times of day, splitting shifts in the dark. And across decades of excavation in those deposits, not a single fish fossil has ever been found. Whatever Eretmohypus was eating, we have no record of the prey existing. Its cousin Parahupesuchus had a full bony tube wrapped around its entire body, the only vertebrate ever found with that anatomy. Something in that lagoon was dangerous enough that you needed a full ribcage cage just to survive. This wasn't a recovering ecosystem, this was already a foreign world, and everything else in this video comes from an ocean you wouldn't recognize. Number 2. The neck that got its owner killed. Tanistropheus was 20 feet long, half of that was neck. Not a flexible swan-like neck, a rigid 10-foot biological sniper rifle built from only 13 vertebrae, each one stretched to the length of a ruler, hollow, reinforced with extra ribs running along the inside. It couldn't turn its head, it barely needed to. The body sat on the seafloor like a rock, squat, heavy, still. The tiny head drifted forward on that impossible neck, nostrils on top like a crocodile, approaching prey from a distance that didn't register as a threat. By the time something saw the mouth, the body was 10 feet away. You're not fleeing the body, you're fleeing a head that seems to be floating by itself. This worked for over 10 million years across multiple continents, and it also got them killed on a regular basis. In 2023, researchers at the University of Zurich pulled 2 specimens out of storage. Each one was a perfectly preserved head and neck. No body, bite marks right at the breakpoint, V-shaped bone splinters, puncture wounds punched clean through solid bone. Something bit them in half, carried off the meaty body and left the neck behind like you'd throw away a chicken bone. 2 specimens, 2 different species, different predators, same result, independently. When Tanistropheus was first described in 1852, scientists thought the hollow neck bones were pterodactyl wing fingers. That's how strange this animal is. Even its bones don't look like they belong to it. And for 150 years, the smaller fossils were assumed to be juveniles. In 2020, bone cross-sections revealed growth rings, fully grown adults. 2 separate species had been hiding in the same skeleton the entire time. Same body plan, different diets, one ate fish, the other ate shrimp. Evolution looked at an anatomy that got you regularly decapitated and said, yeah, keep that, run it for 10 million years. Because it worked just enough. And if the thing doing the decapitating seems scary, wait until you find out what got to the ocean first. Number 3, the crocodile frog that got there first. Every famous ocean predator you've ever seen in a documentary, ichthyosaurs, plesiosaurs, mosasaurs, all of them got beat into the water by a frog relative. Erythrobatrachus was about 6.5 feet long, swimming off the coast of what's now Western Australia, roughly 250 million years ago, less than a million years after the extinction that killed almost everything. It was a temnospondyle, closer to modern frogs and salamanders than to any reptile. 16-inch skull, broad and flat, shaped like a crocodile's head, bolted onto the body of something that should have stayed in a swamp. Its relatives in the group, called trematosaurids, are the oldest clearly recognizable marine predators of the Mesozoic. They spread across the entire planet along coastlines within the first 2 million years after the apocalypse, from the Arctic to Pakistan to Madagascar. While every famous marine reptile lineage was still figuring out how to get wet, these things were already there. Now, to be fair, we're working from fragmentary skulls here. Most of the body plan is inferred, but the skull alone tells us something important. The ocean didn't wait for reptiles to show up and start the food chain. Something with frog DNA was already running it. And what came next made sure the food chain had teeth. Number 4. The fang-mouthed giant. The animal that proved the post-extinction ocean recovered faster and more violently than anyone expected was a nothosaur. And if you've seen nothosaurs in other videos, forget what you think they are. Nothosaurus jangi was 16 to 23 feet long, hunting through the shallow seas of what's now Yunnan province, China, about 244 million years ago. It had the largest lower jaw of any animal in the group that would eventually produce plesiosaurs, great white shark-sized, interlocking fangs projecting outward from the jaw like something designed to not let go. At that size, with those teeth, it was almost certainly eating other marine reptiles. This thing comes from the Luoping biota, one of the most complete Triassic marine ecosystems ever reconstructed, and Nothosaurus jangi sat at the top. Actual paddle tracks from nothosaurs were found at the same site, fossilized on the ancient seabed. They rode with both flippers in unison, like a rowboat, not like a swimmer. You could have watched this thing coming, you just couldn't have done anything about it. Before this discovery, scientists assumed marine ecosystems in Asia recovered slower than in Europe. Nothosaurus jangi killed that idea. Complex apex predator food chains were running worldwide by 244 million years ago, only 8 million years after the extinction event. The ocean didn't limp back, it sprinted, and now the video changes. Everything up to this point has been the ocean recovering from the worst extinction in history. Strange animals, alien body plans, food chains rebuilding from almost nothing. From here on, the ocean stops recovering and starts producing things that rival or surpass anything you've seen in a dinosaur documentary. Number 5. Godzilla. Dacosaurus was a crocodile that abandoned everything it meant to be a crocodile. No armor, no legs, no land, no eggs. It showed up with a tyrannosaur skull and the body of a dolphin, 13 to 16 feet long, living in the waters off what's now Patagonia about 145 to 135 million years ago. It belonged to the metriorhynchids, a family of crocodiles that went fully marine, flippers where legs used to be, a vertical shark-like tail, smooth skin, not scales, not scutes, just smooth hydrodynamic skin confirmed from a specimen found in Germany, salt glands for drinking seawater, forward-facing eyes for depth perception. These animals never touched land. Every other marine croc in this family had a long, narrow snout built for snatching fish. Dacosaurus had a short, tall, blunt skull packed with 13 massive serrated teeth. When isolated teeth were first found in the 1800s, paleontologists classified them as belonging to a land dinosaur. Nobody believed a crocodile could have teeth like that. The researchers who described the skull nicknamed it Godzilla. That name stuck. It may have used twist feeding, biting down and spinning its entire body underwater to tear chunks of flesh free, the way modern crocodiles do a death roll. Except this one was doing it in open ocean with flippers. Here's the part that keeps paleontologists arguing. No metriorhynchid eggs or nests have ever been found anywhere, and Dacosaurus had an unusually wide pelvis. If it gave birth to live young, it would be the only archosaur, the entire group containing crocodiles, dinosaurs, and birds, ever known to give birth like a dolphin. We don't know. But the absence of any nesting evidence, combined with bodies that could never crawl onto a beach, makes it hard to imagine the alternative. Dacosaurus shared its ocean with something even bigger, and that something had a very different strategy. Number 6. The ruler of the sea. 8 million years. That's roughly the same span since humans and chimpanzees shared a common ancestor. That's how long it took the ocean to go from 96% dead to producing Thalattoarton saurophagus, 28 feet long. Its name translates to lizard-eating ruler of the seas, and it earned it. This was an ichthyosaur, pulled out of the mountains of central Nevada. Its jaws sat exposed in the rock for 7 years before anyone dug them out, took 3 weeks to excavate, had to be airlifted by helicopter. The teeth were up to 5 inches long, flat like blades, with 2 cutting edges. These aren't fish-eating teeth. These are teeth built to kill animals close to your own size. Its skull was proportionally twice the size of Cymbospondylus, another ichthyosaur of similar length. Everything about this animal's head says it was biting things that could fight back, and it didn't swim the way you're imagining. No dolphin-style tail pump. Thalattoarton moved by undulating its entire body side to side like an eel. Picture a 28-foot, warm-blooded, air-breathing predator with blade teeth and giant eyes, rippling through the water like a snake with flippers, hunting by sight, moving like something from a nightmare. This wasn't a fluke. In 2020, a different ichthyosaur from the same era turned up in China with a 13-foot animal still in its stomach. Big game hunting was a global pattern across multiple lineages, running simultaneously, only 8 million years after the worst extinction in Earth's history. The ocean didn't slowly rebuild, it overclocked. Number 7, the sea croc that rivaled Liopleurodon, 22 feet long, smooth skin, flippers, shark tail, no armor. Same size class as Liopleurodon, the animal that every documentary calls the top predator of the Jurassic Seas, except Plesiosuchus manselli was a crocodile. It lived off the coast of what's now Dorset, England, about 155 to 145 million years ago, and its teeth tell you exactly what it did. Micro serrations along the edges, but zero wear, zero crown breakage, every tooth slicing cleanly through soft tissue every single time. This was a specialist. It ate other marine reptiles, and it did it so efficiently its teeth never chipped. The killer whale parallel is almost too clean. Plesiosuchus was the larger, clean-toothed specialist that targeted marine reptiles. Dacosaurus was the smaller, heavy-toothed generalist. Same ocean, different strategies. Same dynamic as modern orca ecotypes. One lineage surgically precise, the other built to crush whatever it caught. And science couldn't figure this animal out for 140 years. It was first found in the 1860s on the Dorset coast. Richard Owen, the most famous paleontologist in Britain, the man who coined the word dinosaur, looked at the skull and classified it as a plesiosaur. A museum preparator named Davies said no, that's a crocodile. The technician was right. The most celebrated scientist in the country was wrong, and it still took until 2012 for the animal to be properly identified. In 2024, a related metriorhynchid turned up in Normandy with gill rakers from Leedzictus in its gut, a filter-feeding fish that could reach over 50 feet long. Way too big to hunt, it had been scavenging the carcass. These crocodiles weren't just apex predators, they were also the vultures of the Jurassic Ocean, killing what they could, scavenging what they couldn't. The last known metriorhynchid fossil is a single tooth from about 125 million years ago, found in Sicily. After that, the entire lineage is gone. No descendants, no transition species, just one tooth and then silence. The ocean after the apocalypse didn't just recover, it invented predators that had never existed before, broke every body plan rule in the book, and then erased most of the evidence. What's in the research now is what we've found so far.